Hello, my name is Stacy Brook and I am the founder and chief advisor at College Essay Advisors. And today we are going to take you through the Coalition for Access, Affordability, and Successes brand new platform. Just for anyone who doesn't know what the Coalition application is, a conglomerate of over 80 colleges who are seeking to provide an alternative to the Common Application got together and have put together this platform. Most of the schools in the Coalition will be accepting applications from both the Common App and the Coalition app. A few of them will be using the Coalition app exclusively, though none of these details are finalized, and we won't really know who is using the Coalition app from who isn't until July. But it's going to be good to know your way around this, just in case. And there's a lot we already know, and we're going to take a peek inside and show you the features that have been released thus far. Again, the full application itself isn't going to launch until July, but there is a lot that we can look at now just to become familiar. So the first thing that you're going to do when you get to the Coalition website, coalitionforcollegeaccess.org, is you're going to create a new account. Okay, so you're going to come to this Coalition Create Account screen. You're going to enter in your email address, your password, your personal info. Today we're going to be Beyonce, and you create your account. Which you're then going to have to verify via email. Okay, so you've verified your account and now you're logging in. All right, and you come to this home screen, which is a screen that once you click one of these buttons, you're never going to see again. And that happens with a couple of these features on the Coalition. Once you click them, they sort of change and update your screens, which is why we wanted to take you through this from the very beginning. So let's work on your profile. Tell us a little bit about yourself so we can customize your experience. I am applying to college. You are probably a student. So let's go for that. Okay, so on this home screen, you're going to see that there are 4 options. Start your profile, add to your locker, invite contacts, build your college list. Once you click one of these horizontal bars, you're going to see that sort of transition of layout that I was talking about before. Also, you'll notice that all of these, that most of these items are also listed in the menu up top, and we'll show you where to find things in both places. But first, we're going to go in order and start your profile. So this information that the Coalition is asking for is not dissimilar to the information that the Common App is asking for. It's your basic background information. So contact info, demographics, all of your coursework, financial aid, honors. All of this stuff is pretty basic. Some things that you might want to know include the fact that all of this sort of saves itself as you go along. And another way for you to save the information in your screen is to just move on to the next phase in the application. And then if you click back to demographic information, it's going to have your information saved, and you'll see that there's a check mark to show that you have, in fact, completed a section. So there are some really nice, clear visual indicators of what you've done and what is left to do. So the Coalition app, as I mentioned earlier, is not it's not fully even programmed yet. So new features come out all the time. Some of these features weren't even in here the last time we logged in here. So be sure to check in pretty often just to see if there's anything else you can fill in and fill out. The more you get done, the earlier you are in filling these things in, the easier your life is going to be as you near the school year. Okay, so one of the more important pieces of this section is this extracurricular activities sort of subsection, and it's pretty similar to the extracurricular activity section of the Common App. You're asked to list your activities sort of one at a time with varying level of detail, and so far we haven't hit a limit. We don't really know how many activities you're going to be limited to listing. In the Common App, it's 10. But we've been experimenting both with word count and with the number of activities. And so far, we don't exactly know what the limits are, but we're going to try and give you some information based on what we found with a little bit of experimentation. So the activity name, we found about 10 words or 65 characters with spaces. Again, that's sort of a very loose limit at this point because we've had different outcomes with different experiments. We also, I'm just going to throw one of Beyonce's activities in here. She participated in the Lemonade Tour post-high school. let's say, how many weeks per year? Okay, so how many weeks per year did you participate in this activity? How many hours per week on the high end? These both hours per week on the high end and hours per week on the low end are optional. So you can add a range if you feel like it. You can give a brief sentence describing the primary function of your activity. And that we have found 255 characters per section seems to be around where the limit is. The Common App has about 140 characters for a similar function on their application. Again, I'm assuming that when the official application with all its features rolls out in July, that we're going to have some more solid information for you about character limits, etc. So then any positions, honors, awards, you just add those in there. And leadership positions, and then you can add another activity, activity number 2, add another one if you have 3 or 4 or 7, and if you click on the bottom right hand side, you'll see that extracurricular activities now has a check mark next to it because you've started to fill that thing in. One more thing that I wanted to mention, in conjunction with the extracurricular activities section, you also want to consider this honors and distinctions section, things like National Honor Society or Spanish Honor Society, things that sort of are on the border between activities and honors. This could potentially be a place where you can stick those so you free up some more space for your activities in this extracurricular activity section if you do find that you're hitting some kind of limit there. So I'm going to take us back to the home page, and you'll see Start Your Profile has already been checked off. So, and the profile section is now expanded and pushed to the bottom below the things that you have not started yet. So let's go to the locker. The locker has been one of the most buzzed about parts of the application. It's one of the things that we had very little understanding of in the beginning, but now that some of the features have been released, we have some more information to give you. So first of all, there are a bunch of misunderstandings about the locker. One of the major ones is that other people can see what is in here. You are actually the only one who will ever be able to see your locker. Schools are going to have access to things that you allow them to have access to on an individual basis, or things they ask for that you submit to them. We're going to talk a little bit about this collaboration section of the Coalition application that allows you to send some of your media and things from your locker to counselors and parents and select friends to get some opinions. But none of those people, even if you invite them, will be able to actually see this entire locker. They're only going to be able to see pieces of it at a time. So this is what the locker looks like when you come in. It is a big empty space with almost no instructions on it, except for upload. So you can add media to this right now. You can only add documents to the locker. As you can see, add documents to the locker. Ultimately, you're going to be able to add more dynamic media like videos and audio, JPEG files, and all sorts of other things. But right now, documents is what we are restricted to. So we are going to drag and drop one of Beyonce's proudest projects, the lyrics to Crazy in Love, to her media section, and we're going to add this document to the locker. And there it is. Okay, so once it's uploaded, you're going to have this little thumbnail. Supposedly, this thumbnail is going to turn into some sort of preview at a later point in time. Right now, you're just going to see this little document option. Up here in the corner, this little circle icon, that's the share a document option, which is how you can share this with various collaborators while you're working on the items in your locker. So if you click that, you'll see go to contacts as an option. We're going to get into that a little bit later. Okay, so if you click on that icon, you're going to see that there is a preview of your document, and this is what someone will see if you share it with them. So if you want to send it to your guidance counselor, if you want to send it to an advisor that's helping you through the application process, this is what they will see. And again, this button will allow you to share with your contacts as you see fit. So another interesting thing to note about the media section and your locker items is that There is no Google document function. There's no word processing function here. And according to the coalition, there are no plans to include one in the near future. So when you share these documents with your collaborators, they're not going to be able to sort of mark up a document or, give you explicit instructions, as related to specific paragraphs. They're really only going to be able to comment in a super general way and a little sidebar that's going to show up right here, on the general nature of each one of these items. So that's just something that is good to know. You're probably not going to want to upload something into your locker unless you know that it's finished or at least close to finished, or in a reviewable state. There is also no current limit on how many items you can upload into your locker, which seems crazy, but the coalition has said that until they run out of room on their servers, that you can upload as much as you want. So that is an interesting thing to note as well. One more thing that's interesting to note here: if you click on this little three dot icon down here, you can rename your file, you can download it, and you can delete it if you want to get rid of it. The next thing that I wanted to do was go into this contacts section, which you can access here via home and contacts, or if you go back to your overview page, you can go to invite contacts. And when you get here, you're probably going to see that you don't have any contacts, but you can invite them. So if you are Beyonce and you want to potentially invite Mama Knowles to come take a look at your locker items, you can check her off as a parent or guardian and invite her, and she can accept that invitation and then come to her own back end and take a look at anything that you want to send her. You can share things with your counselor, a recommender, teachers, friends. Whether you use the coalition application or not, whether you use this feature of the coalition application or not, we do recommend to all of our students that you keep the number of outside opinions to a minimum, just so you don't confuse yourself and so there aren't too many cooks in the kitchen. Just something to keep in mind. But this is how you would invite anybody that you want to collaborate with you on any of the items in your locker. Active contacts are contacts that have accepted your invitations, and pending contacts are people who have invited you or sent out a request for you to collaborate with them. So like a counselor can send a request to you and then you can accept their request on the back end. So that's the basic back end for the contact section. And once someone is listed as one of your contacts, when you go into the locker section for your media, then that contact would show up as someone that you can share your locker items with. And again, you're going to share them one by one. You're going to share your locker items one by one with any of your collaborators. So you can only send the lyrics to Crazy in Love or All of Lemonade to Tina Knowles at, one at a time. Okay, so let's take a look at one of the last sections of the application that we haven't touched upon yet, which is the college list. Okay, so a couple things about this screen. So there's this menu up top here, which is a pretty new feature where you can sort this list of colleges that the coalition gives you, either by just colleges that are in the coalition, all four-year colleges, so that's going to include Adams State, Adelphi, all of these schools that have the little graduation cap versus the coalition logo, or schools that do not take the coalition app. So this can just be helpful in terms of, if you search, for example, Boston University doesn't take the coalition app, so if that's someplace that you want to apply to, you know that you can't use the coalition to do it. Whereas American University is a place that you can apply to on the coalition, and probably also, I would imagine, the Common App as well. If you click on Learn More, it will take you right to the application page and the More Info page for American University. And each of these pages is customizable by the university itself. On this left-hand side is supposed to be information about the character of a school. On the right-hand side, some of the more nitty-gritty details about financial aid, application materials, deadlines, and things like that are supposed to appear here on the right. At some point, ostensibly, when you click this Go to Locker icon, it will take you to the locker. for now, it just takes you right back to this application page. So we'll see what happens with that in the future. I don't know what's going to happen when I click on this. Oh, remove college. All right. So if you click on this little button here, which up until this point we've never seen before, you can remove this college from your list. Let's add a couple of colleges to this list right now. Once you have added some schools to the list, you're going to see they come up below with their logos in all their glory. This little college info button, this conspicuous college info button, if you click on it, you have the option to share your data with American University. I believe what this does is it sends your basic details and an email address to Americans so they can send you more information about the school, etc. So you can decide whether or not that's something you're interested in doing. One thing that is interesting to note is that, as we've been saying, this is sort of a work in progress, this application, and some of these schools have not yet submitted the information to build their profiles. Bowdoin is one of those schools, we have found out, because when you click on Bowdoin, it sends you right to the Bowdoin website instead of opening up a whole profile, and we have added it to our list, and if you click learn more, it's going to do the same thing. So just know that not all of the schools are going to have their information fleshed out within the application, which is totally fine. You can just go to the websites and poke around a little bit and just make sure they're added to your list. But our assumption is that in July, when the rest of the application launches, that that every section is going to be filled out and all of the schools are going to be represented. So yeah, so this is your college list. Keep adding to it, and we have tried to add many colleges to this list and haven't yet again found a limit. So it's going to be interesting to see if the number of schools that you can apply to on the coalition application is limited. The Common App limits you to 20. So again, our assumption is that there's probably going to be some kind of limitation put on that in the end. But we shall see. Okay, one other resource we wanted to point out to you is this guidance resource button on the bottom. If you click on it, it opens a new window, and it has, where are you? There we go. It has a lot of information in here. It splits down guidance by year, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. It talks about things like financial aid and how do you apply and finding the right fit. Take a look at some of the articles in here. If you are unsure of any of the details, it's never a bad thing to just sort of dabble and read a little bit about what you can do to be super prepared. One of the last things that we wanted to note is the coalition essays. So the essay section is not noted in the coalition application yet. We're not exactly sure where it's going to be. We don't know exactly how it's going to be set up. In all likelihood, there will be some kind of a word processing function there as there is on the Common App, but we're not sure yet. It might just be something that you upload from the locker section. Either way, the prompts for the coalition are on the coalition website. So even though the essay section in the application itself isn't available to us yet, the 2016-2017 coalition essay questions are posted. View them here. Let's do that. Okay, so first of all, submission guidelines. Not all schools are going to require an essay out of you, a personal statement. That is something that is true of the Common Application as well, something that was a policy that was put in action last year. You can even store essay drafts in your locker, they're saying. So that's something I think that they're expecting you're going to want to do. And here are the essay prompts. There are 5 of them. They are super awesome. We have a guide to how to approach each of these 5 questions on our YouTube channel, which you can feel free to check out. And there's a lot of overlap between these questions and the questions for the Common App. And there is also a submit a topic of your choice. So if you write an essay, a personal statement for the Common Application, there is no way it will not apply to the coalition application's personal statement. So that is awesome news. There are still a lot of lingering questions about the mechanics. We don't know what the word limit is. We don't know exactly how you're going to submit it. But all of that stuff is probably going to come to light in July. Let's just review what we know thus far about the coalition application. So we know what profile information you need to fill out. And we understand the basic structure of the activities section, even if we don't know the word limits or the character limits. We know the basic setup of the locker, the fact that colleges can't see the whole thing and are probably going to request materials from you on an individual basis that you'll then be able to submit to them one at a time, but they can't see your whole locker. We know that you we know the basic setup of the collaboration process and how you add contacts. And again, that your contacts can't see your locker. You can share locker items with them individually. And we also know that not all schools that use the coalition are going to require you to use this particular application. In fact, most of them will also take the Common App. So if this is scaring you, if you don't like it, if you have been using the Common App and you love the Common App, you will probably have the option to use the Common App for most of the schools that you're applying to. What don't we know? So we don't know if there's a limit to the number of schools you can apply to. We don't know the exact word and character limits for some things, including the essay. We don't know the revision policy for the coalition application. If you send an essay to the coalition, to a coalition school, can you change it before you send it to another one? If you find a last minute error or something along those lines. We also don't know, which is an interesting thing that we're dying to know as essay advisors, we don't know the setup of the supplements. So, when you click into American University right now, we have no idea where the supplemental essays are going to pop up. Are they going to even pop up on this page? How can we search to make sure that we don't miss any supplements? All of that information, I'm sure, will come to light in July, and we will let you know the second we know. And speaking of which, we don't know when the full application is going to be released. So the coalition says July. They've been adding features sporadically throughout the last few weeks, so I'm sure things are going to change between now and the full application release date. But the second they release the full app, you bet we'll be on it with more tutorials explaining all the features that aren't in here right now. And so on that final note, it's important to remember that this application is not the full application. This is the coalition's sort of 60% stab at what's going to be available. They've said that about 60% of the application has been released thus far, and they're making changes constantly. So definitely check back in, poke around a little bit. You're not going to have to submit any of these applications until the fall, but it is nice to be familiar with, with the requirements, with what the setup is like, so you can super easily navigate things once all the supplemental essay questions are released and the coalition is up and running, and you can get started. So we will definitely have more advice to come, including, more tutorials on how to get through the coalition platform in general, and also how to, how to perfect and upload your essay. So be on the lookout. We have links to our current coalition application essay tutorials below, as well as tutorials for a bunch of other things. So if you're in it to win it right now, if you're preparing for the summer and you want to get a head start, take a look at some of our other videos, and follow us on social media, subscribe to our channel. We're going to be coming back at you with a lot of information, and we are excited to fill you in as we get to know what's happening with this exciting new option for college admissions. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, and we'll talk to you soon.